early years of 400, after the long intermittent war between Greeks and Persians, an agreement was reached whereby Armenia was to be divided between them. The Greeks made their occupied region of Armenia a new state of their empire with a Greek military commander as governor, putting an end to Armenian sovereignty in the region. The Persians allowed Armenians to retain their royal dominion with their own rules and practices subject to Persian royal decrees. In the year 428, it changed. The Persian king, Aram V, put an end to the Armenian kingdom in the Persian regions. The Armenian Arshakuni dynasty was over. Bahram's successor, Hasdaq II, came to be the king of Persians in 438. He was a ruthless man, a man who married his own daughter and had her killed not long after. He was greatly opposed to Christianity. Hasdaq II enslaved the people of the lands the Persians had vanquished. Armenians, Georgians, Huns were to be absorbed in the Persian religion. From 442 to 449, Hasdaq broke nations. Armenians were more persecuted than others because they were the most zealous in the worship of God. To break the widely spread Christianity apart, he shifted power by rewarding the undeserving and taking power away from the deserving. He beguiled some of them with gold and silver, others with grants of villages, and some with posts of honor and authority, and all with fake promises. He was hoping that the Armenians would come to worship his gods by bribing a few. It wasn't working. Christianity was still spreading. So Hasdaq had to change his ways to get rid of the Christian problem. In this, he found an ally in the traitor Vesak of Suni, who was the governor of the country. He put the entire land under unprecedented dictatorship. Things weren't good. The church, monks, and monasteries and hermits were subject to taxations. Armenia's impost was increased. Nakarars was set one against the other to create an atmosphere of hostility in the region. In the end, believing that the time was ripe, Hasdaq sent a comprehensive letter directive to all the Armenian notables in which he set forth the precepts of the Persian religion, Zoroastrianism. In order to prepare a response, a meeting was convened in the capital city of Artashat. Attending from all of the districts and provinces were all the bishops, other high-ranking clergy, priests, and leading Nakahar. This great national assembly was presided over by Catholicos of Sep. In this letter, they accepted the rules of the land but refused to give up Christianity for any other religion and said they would be willing to die for their cause. The letter was signed by all the clergy and leaders participating, and it was sent to the royal court. The king was intensely denigrated. Enraged, he ordered the Armenian leaders to appear in his court. When they arrived, Hasdaq, having put aside common courtesy and protocol according to the expected tradition, received them, displaying an extremely harsh and rude manner. The king threatened them, and Vartan Mamikonian spoke up. He fearlessly declared that the convictions of Christianity he had studied beginning at an early age were truths which he could not disavow, preferring even to die than to depart from those truths. The Armenian Nakarars were sent off to jail. In prison, not knowing how long they would be there, nor if they would come out alive, they decided to pretend to renounce their faith. It was difficult to persuade Vartan Mamikonian to join in, but in the end he did. Hasgerd was overjoyed. He praised the Armenian Nakarars lavishly for their renunciation of faith and promised them large holdings. But sad news of their apostasy reached Armenia even before they had arrived. Mourning spread throughout the land. All the people were inflamed. It became a decision nationwide for all men, women, workers, noblemen, clergy, hermits to prepare themselves for battle. The people, having become strongly united through the power of faith, became more and more an irresistible force. From their actions, it became clear that Vasark was in truth an apostate, disavowing his faith and working in support of the Persian king. And in contrast, it became clear that Vartan Mamikonian remained faithful to his people and to his faith. After about 2 years of both the secret and open preparations, the definitive clash between the Armenian and the Persian forces took place on the field of Avarer in the province of Artaz on May 26, 451. The Armenians had an army of 60,000 men, as against the 300,000 Persians, who also had their elephants, horses, and camels. Vartan Mamikonian had arranged his army into 3 groups. Then, at a crucial moment in the battle, Vasark of Suni went with his group over to the enemy. So one of the Armenian fronts was weakened. Vartan rushed there like a lion, and with blow after blow killed men, horses, and elephants. Evening came, and an arrow pierced Vartan's heart, killing him. With the coming of night, the armies withdrew, and the battlefield was searched for the dead. They found Vartan with his sword in his hand and his eyes turned towards Masis. The priest, Jevant, the faithful friend of the brave Vartan, was standing there with a cross in his hand. The bodies of the martyrs were taken away to the hills. Though beaten, the Armenian army was far from destroyed. Vahan Mamikonian, son of the great Vartan's brother, took charge of it and led the Armenians in a guerrilla war. Armenian resistance continued for decades, until in 484, Shah Peroz signed the Varsak Treaty, which granted religious freedom to the Armenians, thus guaranteeing the survival of Armenian statehood in later centuries.